You know it's going to be a wild week when Kanye West is back in the headlines.
Right. And this time he's really outdone himself with this interview with DJ Akademiks.
Seriously, like, just when you think you've seen it all.
Well, we're going to break it all down today, untack this latest Kanye controversy.
Yeah, we're going deep on this one, diving into all the details of his interview with DJ Akademiks.
And we're basing all this on a report that was just published in the Daily Mail on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. So very, very recent.
Hot off the presses.
Exactly.
All right, so the mission here is to give you a clear picture of what went down, the controversies, the motivations behind it all.
You know, without getting bogged down in every single little detail.
We want to give you the big picture.
The big picture, exactly.
Okay, so let's set the scene first. Paint a picture for our listeners.
Yeah.
What did the Daily Mail tell us about how this interview even came together?
Well, from what we can gather, the interview itself was actually an hour-long conversation with DJ Akademiks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this all happened sort of in the lead up to the article being published on April 1st.
Okay.
But you know what really jumps out right away is Kanye's appearance during this interview.
Yeah, I mean, you can't talk about this interview without talking about how he showed up.
Absolutely. The Daily Mail describes him as being dressed in a black KKK outfit.
Oh, my God.
And get this, brandishing a giant swastika.
I mean, it's just a shocking image.
It really is. It sets such a disturbing tone for everything that follows.
It's hard to even know where to begin after seeing that picture.
Right. And the article straight up calls this interview wildly offensive. And, you know, that visual alone is a huge part of that assessment.
For sure. So with that image in mind, let's try to unpack some of the things Kanye actually said during this hour.
All right. Well, one of the things that the Daily Mail really highlighted was his refusal to apologize for comments he's made in the past about Jay-Z's children.
Oh, right. He's had some pretty vile things to say about them.
Yeah, and it seems like there's no walking back those statements, no retracting them.
And that wasn't the only provocative thing he said, right?
Oh, no, not even close. He actually went so far as to call himself evil during the conversation.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
It is. It's a pretty definitive self-characterization, right?
Yeah, and beyond that, the article mentions that the whole interview was just peppered with homophobic slurs.
Yeah, it wasn't just a one-off comment here or there. It seemed to be a recurring element throughout the conversation.
So on top of the visual, we've got really offensive language being used repeatedly.
Exactly. And then on a more personal level, he also admitted that he regrets having children with Kim Kardashian.
Oh, wow. That's a huge statement, especially considering they have 4 kids together.
Yeah, and it gets even more complicated because he also said that he's at war with Kim over their children.
Oh, man.
The Daily Mail even lists their names, and ages North is 11, Saint is 9, Chicago is 7, and Psalm is 5.
It's just sad to think about the impact all this public drama must be having on those kids.
Absolutely. And then there's another really strange twist to all this.
What's that?
Well, in the middle of all this, you know, spouting off offensive statements, wearing that outfit, he also decided to defend Sean Diddy Combs.
Really?
Yeah, and remember, Diddy is currently dealing with some very serious legal issues and allegations.
Right. Which he denies, of course.
Of course. But it's still a strange move for Kanye to come out and defend him at this moment.
It really makes you wonder what his angle is there.
Yeah, what's the motivation behind that defense? The article doesn't really say, but it definitely sticks out.
It does. So going back to what he said about Jay-Z and Beyonce's kids, it seems like he doubled down on those comments too.
He even went as far as to call himself a god.
You know, that kind of self-aggrandizement is something we've come to expect from Kanye.
It's become a hallmark of his public persona.
And speaking of public persona, the Daily Mail also gave some insights into what he had to say about his posts on X, you know, the platform formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, yeah. He actually said that he asks so-called woke people what offends them so he can do it more. Yeah, and he specifically referenced his past statements about loving Hitler and calling himself a Nazi as examples.
So he's saying he's intentionally being provocative.
It seems that way, which is a very disturbing thought.
Absolutely. So we've got a pretty good sense of what Kanye said during this interview now. But the Daily Mail also dug into the possible motivations behind all of this.
They did, and their sources seem to think that a lot of this stems from jealousy over Kendrick Lamar's popularity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're basically saying that this whole interview was a publicity stunt orchestrated to steal the spotlight away from Lamar.
I mean, that would make sense. He's always been someone who craves attention.
It's true, and it's especially interesting because this all comes at a time when there's this ongoing feud between Kendrick and Giak.
Oh, right. So Kanye is trying to insert himself into that drama.
Exactly. And the Daily Mail goes on to say that he's actually been trying to start a rap feud with Kendrick Lamar
Really?
Yeah, even though Kendrick has shown absolutely no interest in engaging with him.
So it's all very one-sided.
Very much so.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. The Daily Mail reports that Kanye believes his fan base is largely made up of incels, or people on the far right.
Yeah, and the implication there is that he's deliberately trying to provoke reactions from the woke left to appeal to that base.
So it's all very calculated and cynical.
Potentially very much so.
All right, so let's get into what he specifically had to say about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. What did he reveal about his feelings towards them?
Well, one of the things he said was that Drake is 1,000,000 times better than Kendrick and 1,000,000 times more important.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
It's a pretty bold comparison.
And what's interesting is that he used to praise Kendrick's Super Bowl performance.
Right, he did, but now he's questioning why someone with no hits like Kendrick would be performing at such a big event.
So there's definitely some inconsistency there, maybe fueled by this jealousy that the Daily Mail is talking about.
Could be, and when asked directly about Kendrick, Kanye said that he doesn't actually have a personal problem with him.
So it's not like a personal vendetta or anything.
Well, not exactly, but he did say that he doesn't like how Kendrick has been used, and he resents the fact that Kendrick claims to be #1 because Kanye believes that title belongs to him.
So there's definitely some professional rivalry there.
For sure. And to add to that, the Daily Mail brought up an incident from 2023 where Kanye trashed Kendrick's performance at a Louis Vuitton event.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
And more recently, he admitted that he doesn't actually like Kendrick's music, and he didn't want him to be on Playboi Carti's latest album.
So this tension goes back a while.
It does, in fact. The Daily Mail even quoted an old tweet from Kanye where he wrote, "Kendrick was never king. Maybe king of the West Coast, but never king of the world."
Wow, so that's pretty clear evidence of a long-standing rivalry.
Absolutely no love lost there.
He also reportedly expressed jealousy over the fact that Kendrick Lamar appeared on Cardi B's album.
Right. He felt like it was a clash of genres, and he just wasn't into it.
Interesting. Okay, so we've heard Kanye's perspective. Now let's switch gears and talk about DJ Akademiks' role in all of this.
All right, so the Daily Mail makes it very clear that Kanye chose Akademiks for this interview very intentionally.
And why is that?
Well, their sources say that Kanye knew an interview with Akademiks would cause a stir because of those recent accusations against Akademiks involving a teenage gamer.
Right, those are some serious allegations. Let's remind our listeners what those are about.
So back in January, Akademiks, whose real name is Livingston Allen, he's 33 years old, was accused of asking a 15-year-old about their sex life and allegedly offered to perform a sexual act.
Yeah, those are really disturbing allegations.
They are, and they came to light pretty recently.
So how did Akademiks respond to all this?
Well, he did issue a public apology pretty quickly after the accusations surfaced.
Okay, and what did he say?
He admitted that he was wrong, said he needed to do better, and called the situation a regrettable moment that could hopefully be a teachable moment.
So he took responsibility for his actions.
He didn't try to make excuses, which is important.
But the Daily Mail also mentions that this isn't the first time Akademiks has been accused of something like this.
Right. They bring up a sexual assault and defamation lawsuit that was filed against him by Fauzia Abash back in 2022.
And what were those allegations about?
Abash accused Akademiks of rape, but it's important to note that Akademiks has denied these allegations, and he pointed to a police investigation and evidence that led to the prosecutor deciding not to pursue the case.
So those allegations didn't result in any charges?
Correct, and Akademiks maintains his innocence, but, these recent accusations involving the teenage gamer are separate, and they've definitely had an impact on his public image.
For sure.
So on top of all this, the Daily Mail describes Akademiks as being a big Drake fan, someone who has connections to him and often comments on the Drake-Kendrick feud.
Okay, so that adds another layer to this whole thing.
It does. And to make things even more complicated, Kendrick Lamar actually called out Akademiks in a song snippet he posted on Instagram back in September.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was rapping about influencers who talk negatively and accused them of being biased.
Wow, so Kendrick has Akademiks on his radar.
It seems that way, and Drake himself also mentioned Akademiks by name in a diss track.
Interesting. What did he say?
He suggested that Akademiks' position might be compromised because of his friendship with Drake.
So there's a lot of bad blood there.
There is, and the Daily Mail's sources basically say that Kanye knows Kendrick fans hate Akademiks.
Ah, so choosing Akademiks as his interviewer was another way to provoke Kendrick and his fan base.
Exactly. It's all part of this calculated strategy to stir up controversy.
Well, this has been a wild ride trying to unpack all of this.
It really has.
So let's summarize everything for our listeners. What are the key takeaways from all this?
All right, so the main takeaway is that this interview, as reported by the Daily Mail, was full of offensive statements and imagery from Kanye West.
He showed up in a KKK outfit and brandished a swastika.
He did, and he made offensive comments about Jay-Z and Beyoncé's kids, used homophobic slurs, and even expressed regret over having children with Kim Kardashian.
And it seems like a lot of this is motivated by jealousy over Kendrick Lamar's success.
That's what the Daily Mail sources are saying, and they believe this whole interview was a publicity stunt to draw attention away from Lamar and provoke reactions from the woke left.
And the choice to have DJ Akademiks as the interviewer was no accident either.
Not at all. Kanye knew that Akademiks is a controversial figure, especially after those recent accusations, and that having him involved would just add fuel to the fire.
It's a really messy situation.
It is, but it's important to look at the context surrounding these kinds of events, even when the content is disturbing.
Right. We need to try to understand the dynamics at play and the motivations behind people's actions.
Exactly, and this brings up an important question for you, our listeners.
What's that?
When we see these kinds of public acts and how they're amplified by the media, what's our responsibility as consumers of this information?
That's a really good question.
What does it say about celebrity culture and public discourse when these extreme behaviors become part of the narrative?
It's something we all need to think about.
It's a challenge to try to understand even the most troubling content, but it's important that we do.
I agree, we can't just turn away from these difficult conversations.
We have to engage with them thoughtfully and critically.
And that's what we're trying to do here on this show.
Absolutely. We want to give you the tools to understand the world around you, even the messy parts.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Stay informed and stay engaged.
And keep thinking critically.
We'll see you soon.
Take care.